Hi, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Danielle.
Welcome to Unapologetically Females.
We wanted to create a fun, non-judgmental space where women can talk about their shared experiences.
Here we will normalize the challenges we face as females living in a society that dictates unrealistic and outdated expectations on what a woman should be.
Together, we hope to cultivate a supportive community of women who empower one another to courageously live unapologetically.
A quick disclaimer before we get started. Although Cindy and Danielle are licensed therapists, this podcast is not to be interpreted as therapy or a replacement of therapeutic services. It is strictly a conversation between two women about their experiences in the world. If you liked today's episode, please make sure to like and subscribe below. Also, follow us on all of our social media platforms at Unapologetically Females. With that being said, we hope you enjoy this episode.
We're back for another episode, and this week's episode, we will be highlighting one of Cindy's close friends. We are going to do a series on inspiring women, and we are so grateful that she is here to kick us off with this series. So, Cindy, if you'd like to introduce her.
Yeah, so this is my good friend, Christine, and the reason that we chose to talk to Christine today is she's just so inspirational, and you are so inspirational. You had some adversity early on in your life and your marriage, and you've come out just on top and so successful, and you're so inspiring to so many of us. And so I just wanted to, A, give you the credit for that. And
Thank you.
B, just kind of have you tell your story and what it took to rise the way that you did and become who you are today.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I feel honored that I could be a topic of conversation in this area, so thank you.
Absolutely. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about what it is that you do now in business? And any shameless plugs are always welcome.
Okay. You looking for a house? I'm your girl. Oh, I've been in real estate for 27 years, right after I graduated from college. And I was married for 12 years. We were both in real estate together. And I have two boys who are now almost 16 and 19. So, but yes, I do sell real estate still, but I feel like I really got super focused, and my career's done really well over the last several years once I got really focused.
Yeah. She's not telling you that she is one of the top real estate agents, especially here in our community, and very well known for just being that leader here, especially.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So can you tell me how you guys met? Let's start. I'm curious.
We go way back.
As I've said before, I've talked about our friend group that travels together every year. So Christine and I were sorority sisters.
Yeah.
Oh, you're part of that group.
I'm part of that group.
Wow, I'm so fascinated with that group because it's rare that you have a group of that many women that stay connected consistently for so long. Like that is, I don't feel like I see that anymore or hear about that.
It's very true.
Yeah.
And that everyone's so supportive of each other.
Yeah.
There's no like cattiness or talking behind people's backs. It's like really everyone loves each other. And
That's what
supportive.
Yeah, that's what she tells me, and I'm like, that's such a healthy group. Like, how do you get? It's like 14 women, right? Or
Yeah, 14. Yeah. A good example was just the other day, one of our friends' moms ended up in the hospital after a bad golf cart accident. And instead of, I'm sure she reached out to her family first, but she also reached out to all of us and like, hey guys, this is what's going on in my life. Please send prayers and positive thoughts to my mom. She's in the hospital, and then we get updates. And so it's really like a family, in that way.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And everyone's across the country too. Mm-hmm. But we, the text string keeps everyone together.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though I'm the worst at the text string, because
Well, we all know you're
I
busy.
get a lot of text messages with work. I'm like, if anything really important's on there, someone please call me and tell me, because I miss stuff. But it's good to know that everyone's right there in the palm of our hand.
Yeah, and we're all rooting for each other.
Yes.
I love that. So I know Cindy's given me a little bit of just, your professional history as far as, being in the real estate business. She's raved about, just how prominent you are in this community and the work you've done. And so, but take me back to the beginning. Did you always know you wanted to be in real estate? How did this start? Like, take us to the beginning of your story.
So no, I didn't know I wanted to be in it. My dad was in real estate since I was born. Okay. And when I went to college, that's the last thing I wanted to do because I just saw that he worked all the time. And I saw money go up and down, and it was like, whoa, that seems stressful. But then after doing internships and trying different things and really realizing like real life after like, you know, what would fit if I want to be a mom someday and I want to make a certain amount of money someday. And I had that opportunity to work with my dad. So right after I graduated from college, I got my license and started working with him. We were a father-daughter team for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And he owned his own real estate company, so I worked with him for a long time. And so that's what got me started in it. And I love the idea that the harder I work, the more money I can make, and also that I could work my schedule around what I wanted to do in being a mom. So people think, oh, it must be nice. It's so flexible. It is, but it's also 7 days a week. It's like moving around, you know,
right,
squeezing in. Like I never miss my kids' games. I don't miss doctor's appointments because I squeeze it in like an appointment. So I like that I have the flexibility to do that.
Sure.
And it's just a great business because I get to meet all different kinds of people and like be in their house and have them in my car and get to know people that you don't normally just like get to become friends with all these different people that aren't in your friend group or that aren't like you. And it's cool to be able to meet and interact with people that I never would have had a chance to otherwise.
I think that that's actually why one of the reasons you're so successful is that you're so malleable. Like you are accepting of everyone and you're able to relate to people and you're open-minded and, you know, somebody might walk in that has a completely different lifestyle and you're like, great, tell me about that. Let me learn about that.
Well, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how boring would it be just to hang around with people like yourself?
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's like I just find it fascinating.
Yeah. Okay, so you said I worked with my dad for 3 years, and I was like, tell me more. Like that. How was that experience? Because I think I love my father. Working with my father, I'm like, we would go head to head probably. Like,
oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. My dad and I get along so well. And he was running the company at the time. I learned so much from him. And we have a great relationship. He's easy to get along with. So I really loved all of that. I mean, I realized after several years of working together, our strengths and weaknesses, and I wanted to do things differently. And, you know, I didn't want to always be working under my dad because it was like, and I watched your episode on, what is it called? Okay, on imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember being like, okay, well, yeah, I sold all these houses, but it's because of my dad.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
And I didn't give myself credit. So, like, I separated from him so I could do my own thing.
Okay.
Love that.
So what in you triggered that when you were like, I have to do my own thing? What gave you the courage to go and break out?
Well, I still worked at his company, so it wasn't necessarily like it was this big decision or a breakup of a business. It wasn't like that. It was more just like, okay, I have enough of my own business now where I can just work with my people and he could do his thing. It wasn't a big...
Okay.
It wasn't a big thing because we still we worked together at the same company, but I just took on my own clients. And I think that was what he wanted me to do anyways.
Sure.
Is be able to, you know, teach me and then let me do my thing.
Yeah. So do you guys still do you still work
there? No. So at one point in time, my husband was working with us too. Before we were married, he was working for my dad and I got him in the business. And then we took over. My dad didn't want to run a company anymore. So my husband and I took it over and he became my ex-husband. He became the broker and owner of the company. And so we worked at the same company, my husband and I, but not like together, like a team. We had our completely separate clients.
Okay. So you guys took it over. You met him through work.
No, I met him at the end of college.
Okay.
He was going to engineering school and ended up stopping that and get his real estate license and working with me and my dad.
Okay.
But this is where the adversity piece comes in.
Okay. So
I mean, yeah.
you meet him, he pivots, decides to do real estate.
Yeah.
You guys are working together and then decide we're going to get married.
Yes, and then I'll make this like a long story short, and I'll get to the chase.
Okay.
Okay, so we got married, and we were married for 12 years, and we were working together that whole time. And then once I realized this is going down, like divorce is coming up, I didn't want to run a real estate company. My dad ran a real estate company. My husband did. I have no desire ever to run a real estate company. Mm-hmm. I just want to have my own business. So I just left it to him, my ex-husband, and I hung my license somewhere else.
Which was so brave.
Yeah.
Like, so brave and also so admirable that, you know, we're in this divorce. It was not something that you chose to happen. And you still were able to just say, here you go.
Well, I wasn't really giving up like anything. It was because I don't really care about having a status of owning a company. I really didn't care about that. I just had to get away from him.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, just getting away part and whatever that entailed, that was challenging and scary.
And you walked away and did it all on your own, including your children.
Yes.
Pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you were going through that process, and because I mean, it was your dad's business at one point, and how did you process that? I mean, I know you said like you just had to get away, and I understand that, but like there had to have been a process, right? Did you feel in the moment like, I mean, honestly, like, fuck you, you're like, I brought you into this.
That's how I felt as a friend.
Because I'm listening to you and I'm thinking that, like,
right.
You know, where it's like, you know, I brought you into this. You own this because of your connection to me. And now I'm walking, not that you wanted the business, but even like, how did you know, maybe I'm just petty like that. But like, how did you work through that? What was that like for you?
We both kind of started real estate at the same time, my husband and I. So I felt like we built everything we had together.
Okay.
I started before him by maybe 6 months, but I felt everything we had, we built together. I didn't really see it as, it did start off as my dad helping in the beginning, but, you know, we did the work. And so I felt like we did it all together. Mm-hmm. And we did really well for a while, made a lot of money. And then the market crashed and we lost everything. And of course, that's when, you know, we got divorced. Mm. It's always fun to have no assets to split. It's like, how do we split this debt? That really sucked. Right? I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, of course I had to work through I left my house. I left my business. I left everything. You know, he was supposed to pay me my half of that. But it's like when he doesn't leave and I can't stay. Like, and it wasn't like just, one day I just did it. It was like years of getting to the place where I was able to do it.
Right. So what's that like? You are walking away from all things you've built with him.
A house I love. And then taking my kids, and they were 3 and 6.
I wondered how old they were. Yeah.
I know. I'm still like, I don't know how I even did that.
I have a 3 and an 8-year-old, so I'm like, I
imagine.
don't know, like that.
Imagine, yeah.
That's hard. You know, I can't imagine.
Well, and with real estate too, it's like such it's almost like, you know, playing tennis is such a mental game. Mm-hmm. It, like, within yourself, you have to like be strong. And so when you're going through stuff emotionally and these other things, it's hard to then put on the happy face and be like, hi, how are you today? And, you know, but you have to.
Right. You can't be like the depressed realtor.
No, hi. Enjoy this house now. Wait till your husband takes it away from you.
Well, and also financially, real estate is commission based, right?
Oh,
So
yeah. There's no
it's like,
paycheck coming in.
No, you have no like steady income that you can count on every month, right?
No, and that was hard because I had way more debt than I even knew after I got divorced, and oh my God, it was so overwhelming. I mean, I remember I was with Cindy in a hotel room, like I can't. My bills are stacked up this high. I can't even get through them. Like I'm so mentally like blocked. I can't even like open my mail. I had my electricity shut off. I could have paid for it. I just forgot to pay the bill. And I'm like, okay, kids, we're going to mom and dad's for a sleepover. Until I could get it turned back on, I was just a mess. It was just really hard to have like every piece, have to take care of every piece, like your kid having anxiety at school and running out of, or getting in trouble. And then like, how do I pay this bill? And then be happy and act like everything's okay over here. And also don't let the kids see that you're sad because you want them to be happy. And so, yeah, it was, I'm glad I'm not in that place now.
But you're not in that place now because you overcame your challenges and you decided, I'm going to take the high road. I'm going to choose to look at this as an opportunity to grow and an opportunity to become stronger. And not everybody can do that. So that's
Well, and I
impressive.
wasn't thinking of it in those terms. I wasn't like, this is such a great opportunity for me to practice
easy
my
for me to
patience.
say
And
now.
no, I know.
Yeah.
No, it's a good way to look at it now. But no, I mean, it was literally like, just get through this day.
So
Get through this week.
when you reflect on that time in your life, what do you think were like the key components of survival for you to make it to the next day?
Well, number one, I feel like I had no choice. I mean, I have to.
Sure.
Who's going to pay the bills? I have a wonderful family that's very supportive and would watch my kids. They couldn't give me money, but I mean, they did everything else and helped me. Like, I didn't have to put my kids in daycare. They would help me watch them. And I didn't feel like I had a choice. So it was just like, I have to do this. And I didn't want to just do it. I wanted to be able to provide my kids with everything I wanted to provide them with. So I didn't want to just get by.
Right.
So I don't know. I just tried to see opportunities where, when they came up and just go for it. Because I'm like, what do I have to lose?
Yeah.
I really was like, what do I have to lose at this point?
Right. I feel like when a woman gets to that place where it's like, what do I have to lose? That's when the magic happens.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're free enough to be dangerous, but you're also free enough to just be super courageous too. And it's like, what do I have to lose? Like it's all, let's do it all and see what happens. And I may fall on my face, but I may not.
But at least you try.
Yeah. Right.
I also feel like as your friend watching you, you've taken on this like real estate Christine and then friend mom Christine, right? Like I can see you go into like hyper focus mode. Like if we'll be traveling together or something and you get on with a client, you're like just business mode. It's like, it's so impressive to watch, but it's also like, oh, there she is. Like that's why, I don't know if you feel that or you see that about yourself.
Someone else, I was on a listing appointment and someone's like, you're just all business, aren't you? And I was like, well, aren't I supposed to be? I mean, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
But kind of at first, but then, I mean, I become friends with so many of my clients too.
For sure. No, but I think I probably am talking about like when you get a new listing or when somebody's reaching out to you and you're like selling yourself,
Oh yeah, there's definitely
Yeah.
business mode and yeah.
Yeah, but it's
For
it's
sure.
really like
Maybe that's a Gemini thing.
maybe.
People like to say Geminis are two-faced and stuff, which I don't believe because it's a sign of the twin. I think it's like versatility.
I like it.
Yeah, I like that.
There you go.
That's my take on
I
the
like that.
Geminis.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in the thick of it. You're hustling. You're trying to figure it out. What was the turning point for you? When and how did things start to kind of? It's like, okay, I'm settling a bit. How long did the divorce last?
Well, the divorce itself took maybe a year just to
Okay.
get everything. I filed for divorce and had to live there for 6 months to save up money to get out. And that was kind of brutal. And then, moved out So that, I mean, the whole process maybe took a year or something.
Okay. And then, so I'd imagine during that year, it's like you're surviving. It's survive, especially
It was
when you're
surviving
leaving.
for several years.
Okay.
After, I think, unraveling stuff. And then just like, I hadn't, I took care of the kids mainly. I worked, but like I didn't do the bills. I didn't do the financial stuff. I didn't do any of that stuff. So I had to like learn how to do all that stuff too.
Right.
I felt kind of dumb. I'm like, I'm a grown woman. But I didn't even do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember calling and being like, my air conditioner's broken. They go, well, did you change a filter? I'm like, what? I didn't even know about changing air filters.
Yeah.
I just did the things that I did, and we shared responsibility. So it was like learning how to do all that stuff was that took a while. I felt like it just took so long to finally get there. But in my business, a turning point was I partnered with. Well, I focused because I used to just go all over, and I said I'm focusing on this neighborhood where I live. Because I can't really go that far anyways when I've got to get home to the kids. So I really need to like concentrate my efforts in a certain area. And so I started focusing on marketing to this neighborhood. And then there was a realtor that had marketed the neighborhood here for 25 years since the homes were built and built a big following here. And I had heard that she was like thinking of retiring because her husband retired. And I remember just approaching her and saying, hey, I heard you're thinking of slowing down. Do you ever? And she's like, nope, where'd you hear that from? I'm not slowing down. No way. Like, I'm going strong. I'm like, okay, well, if you get to that
When you
point,
do, yeah.
then let's talk. And we joke around. I say I courted her for like 3 or 4 years. Like, whenever you're ready, let me know. Because I didn't want to be on her team, but I wanted to be her partner and be able to take over what she had been doing. So finally she called and she was like, okay, I think I'm ready. And so we came up with a 4-year buyout plan where we partnered and, co-branded from her team to our team, and now it's to my team. But she had an element of her business that I didn't have. Like, I didn't have the money after I got divorced to spend on marketing. Mine was like, I'm doing events. I'm getting other people to pay for stuff I'm doing. Like, I had to do everything on such a small budget and just networking and referrals and all that. I didn't have this big, strong marketing piece, and I wasn't able to spend thousands of dollars on marketing, which she had done. That was her whole business. We had totally separate, like opposite ways of doing business.
Okay.
And so when I was able to take that piece that I didn't have and plug it into what I was doing, that's when it made the biggest difference in my business.
Got it. So picking up the phone and calling her, because that is huge.
I ran into her at a restaurant.
That's wild.
This is what I'm saying.
That is, I
not
don't
everybody
think,
has the same ability to jump in and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for this.
I have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I'm going to put myself out there for.
Well, it's just asking her, and she could say no, and she did say no.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, but if you change your mind.
But
Yeah.
you've made yourself so vulnerable, and not many people are willing to do that, right? Not many people are like, well, she may say no. Mostly people are like, oh, they might say no, and then I'll feel this
Rejected
way.
or
yeah.
feel-
Well, I
not good
figured I'm
enough.
complimenting her anyway, so she should just, appreciate the compliment. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so impressed by what she did. And I'm like, tell me how you did it. Like, I met with several agents. I'm like, how did you do what you did? Like, I want to know how you did this. And people, if someone calls you and it's like, you're great at what you do, can I just buy you coffee and hear about it? I mean, it's like, you take it as a compliment, right? So I'm like,
Absolutely, but not everyone does, and I think that that's something that I feel like I've seen in in the business world is there's so much ego.
yeah.
So
well,
much
and realtors too.
Yeah. So, and that's where I think some people may take it as a compliment depending on who you are, and as
Yeah.
a person. And then I think some people, not that I don't know. I don't want to say they don't take it as a compliment, but it's almost there's an agenda behind it of, well, what am I going to get out of my time? Like, it's not just sure, I'll sit down and talk to you, or let's continue to
Or
stay
people don't want to
connected.
share their secrets because
yeah.
they see it as a competitive thing.
Yeah, it's all-
So, but this is the thing. There's so many realtors out there. If they acted like that, then I'll just move on to the next one that's nice.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think that that's something that I don't know if maybe you do give yourself credit for this, but you persevere. Like you are you are resilient, and it's clear in just the stories that you have shared that you're going to find a way. Like there's not no, sure, they might say no, and I'm going to do
Oh, I knew there'd be a way.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what it was, but I just figure if you keep going that direction, you'll figure it out.
Have you always been that way? Have you always been resilient and pushed through, like even as a kid?
Okay, so I'll tell you, well, I have great parents, and I feel like this helped a lot because I remember in school, like my friends were all got really good grades, and I got good grades, but I feel like I had to work so much harder than everybody else. And it was so frustrating. And I would like cry and be like, why is it so easy for them? And like I sometimes even getting a C was like, it was really hard. I mean, I ended up getting, like I said, good grades, but I would study 10 times longer. It was just harder. And I remember my mom saying, okay, I know you don't think this now, but you're learning how to work hard. And that is so much better than like having this photographic memory and being able to get an A on a test. Because that you can use the whole rest of your life. And I was like, okay, whatever, Mom, it still sucks.
Right.
But then I got older, and I noticed also friends that all that stuff that came easy to them, then they get out in the real world, and when something's hard, crumble.
Yes.
So it was like a really good lesson. Like, okay, this isn't easy, but just take one day at a time, take one piece at a time, and figure it out. And it doesn't have to be done perfect.
So you just said it doesn't have to be perfect, which I love. And you also explained how you became stronger by working harder. So you got the message early on that the harder I work, the more I put into it, the more successful I'll be at the end.
Yeah, and you feel so much better when you accomplish something that you had to work harder for.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But
bigger
like
payout.
nobody can tell you that as a kid, which is interesting because I don't think I realized, like, I don't know if I reaped the like benefit of that until probably my early 30s, maybe. Like,
Did anyone point it out to you before? Or are you saying you just realized it on your own?
which part?
Well, just that the working hard is creating this, like, it's creating a muscle that, you know.
Yeah, no, I think like I had great parents growing up, and so I think that they always were very much like instilling that hard work ethic. My dad is an incredibly hard worker. My mom, was she was a teacher, but was always like going above and beyond and doing all the extra things. And so I observed that, and I think they instilled that in my brother and I. I just think that I have always been incredibly hard on myself.
Oh,
And so
yeah,
it was like
I am too.
like my own internal dialogue where it's like, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. And then it was something switched, later in life. And it was like, I am, and I can do this. I think even deciding to go back to college and get my master's and all of that, and just pushing through and doing it. It's like, I did this, I figured out a way to do this. And then, I feel like I've progressively grown into that, confidence or like that. Like,
Oh, yeah, confidence through experience.
Yes.
That's true. And I mean, that's still to this day, I'm still like, God, I really sucked at that. Or that really, I screwed that up. But
But are you more able to like shake it off
yeah.
more easily?
Yeah, because it's like, okay, at the end of the day, what is this? Like, am I even going to think about this?
Right.
In a year?
Right.
In 5 years? Whatever. And I give myself, like, the max one day only to, like, get upset about something.
Yeah.
It's like, feel it, go through it, whatever, cry, do it, feel like an idiot. And then, like, the next day, I'm not thinking about it anymore because I can't. I got to take it out and, like, get rid of it and think of something else.
We call that the dog shake in my practice. Like,
The
you know
dog
how
shake?
dogs,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
they just
shake
like
all the water
literally
off?
like shake the water off, like shake it all off. And
I
you
like
just,
that.
Like, physically, like, shake it off. Like, just don't let it sit.
Yes. Well, and everyone talked about it so much, but like watching The Secret years ago, that was like huge for me because I realized, because I would worry and worry and worry and worry and try to figure stuff out. And I didn't realize how bad that is. It's just bringing more of that bad stuff to you. So like I like make myself stop thinking the negative things and like really work hard focusing on thinking of the positive thing, and it goes away.
Yeah.
And-
Reframing. And in therapy, that's
Georgia and I were just talking about that. That's why I looked at her about gratitude and, reframing your mind, like changing your mind. I think Georgia said, I need to change my dopamine habits, but like,
Dopamine habits.
Yeah. It's true though. Like the mind is so powerful, and it's going to crave more of those feeling, like, if you focus on those things, it's going to continue that string of bad habits because it's doing something for you, right? Good or bad. It's doing something. It's serving a purpose. And so being able to get to a place where you're like, oh, I have the power to change this, to reframe, to practice mindfulness and gratitude and being grounded and all the things, like, really does shift your life in general, and your practices.
It does. Well, and it's also, it's like, okay, yeah, that was hard, not having money and, going through all of that. But I also, and this sounds kind of morbid, but like I will take myself to this place. I'm like, hey, I'm not visiting my kids with cancer in the hospital right now. I'm not like, my
always be
family's
worse.
still, it could be so much worse.
Yeah.
And then that would like snap me back into like, okay, so I don't have any money right now. Whatever. I've got health. I've got my kids. And really, like, people say that, but like I really was like, wow, I'm really lucky that. And then I've got like this really, he's like an awesome athlete. He was like the best in the game tonight or whatever. And it's like I get excited about those little wins.
Sure. Yeah.
And it helps you get through,
The hard stuff.
I think it's important mentioning too that you are a philanthropist as well. So you have created these philanthropic things throughout your career that have been really helpful to the community. But I think that also probably not only is it good teaching to your kids, but I think that's part of your success as well. Like you're giving back and you're really helping different pockets of the community and the society, and I think that's super cool.
It's really, it's like it helps me, it makes me feel so good. I mean, and I had a women's group for 7 years, and you would go to, right after I got divorced, I started this women's group, and we would put on events, and like we always had a charity component. And the girl that did the group with me, she knew all the organizations in town. So we volunteered at a bunch of different places, and I would just feel so good after doing that. Good that I was able to help, but also like it also makes you appreciate. It's like, oh my God, I was complaining because I couldn't buy this, or I'd like to have this. And these people don't even have a house or a bed to sleep in. It really puts things into perspective big time.
Yeah. Christine's always the one that's at the, food bank with her kids, volunteering and bringing blankets for the shelters and the animals. And I mean, it's not just people, it's animals too.
I haven't done an animal thing yet.
Oh, I thought the blankets were for animals, but they're not. They're for
Hey,
people.
the homeless people a lot of times have animals. They could cover them up. But
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a really great example that you're setting, not just for your kids, but for all of us. Like,
Absolutely.
hey, give back. Like,
well, it was really cool that, because I've had my kids go to do this stuff with me since they were little. And then my son, who just graduated from high school last year, he was like, Mom, guess what? I'm starting this volunteer group at my school. And so they would do collection. They would do, like, I'd say, well, I'm doing a shoe drive in the neighborhood. Why don't you guys do a shoe drive? And then we get all the shoes, and then him and his friends and my other son, his friends, we would go down and we serve dinner to the homeless and hand it all out. So they could, but the fact that he did that on his own, it was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to see, like,
The fruits of your labor.
yes. Because they'd be like, oh, do we really have to go do this? I'm like, yes, go do it. But they the same. At the end, they were like, I'm glad I did it. I felt good doing this. And then when he started that, it was like, I felt so proud. It was like, oh my gosh.
That's
I planted a
amazing.
little seed that grew. It made me
That's
happy.
amazing.
you led by example.
Yeah. So as far as business goes and the career you've built, so I want to make sure that we touch on, just how far I think, because, this story of, starting off losing pretty much everything and starting over. But not only that, like having 2 kids, having to figure out what's like, there were so many things within losing it all. And then the comeback essentially of this woman, you approached her and then you courted her, so to speak, for 4 years. And you saw the fruit of that labor transpire and into the business you've built. So what lessons have you learned along the way from a business perspective?
I would say not to worry about how you're going to do it, but to know what you want. Like, know where you want to be. Because I already saw it. I'm like, Helene and Christine's team. I see it. It rhymes. It's going to work, you know? And like, she can't do this forever. She's older. She wants to be retired. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Like this, there's no way that this could not work. I just had to convince her first and then figure out how later. And I had to come up with money too to make it happen. And I was just like, it'll just happen. It'll just happen. So I think like having the end, knowing what the end is, and then trusting in yourself that you'll figure it out along the way. Because so many people stop and they don't even try because they don't know.
You get stuck.
How to get there. It's like you don't need to always know. Just
know
take
what
a
it
step
is
at a
that
time.
you,
Yes.
what your end goal is, what it is that you have your eye on.
That's really good. I think like it's so funny because I think the biggest lessons are like the simplest, right? So it's like,
That's
just
so true.
know what you want and don't overthink it. Like just take the first step, maybe a good one, may not be, the best step, but take a step and then tomorrow take another one. And it's like, continue to work towards.
Yeah. And like that book, Who Moved My Cheese? Have you read that book?
No.
Okay, I read it on an airplane. It's it's a short read, so it's easy. I even made my son read it when he got in trouble. He got suspended from school, and I made him read this book too. And he actually liked it too. It's just about the little rats in the maze and how they go find the cheese, and then they eat the cheese, and then there's some rats that sit there and complain. Where's the cheese? There's no more cheese. Why isn't there any more cheese? And the other one just get up and go find another pocket of cheese. And it's like, how long are you going to sit there and complain and woe is me? Just get back out there and find it.
Yeah. So now tell us, what's life like?
Life is good. I just sent my son to Europe for senior trip. He's there right now.
Wow, that's fun.
It's pretty cool. I wish I was getting more pictures, but we'll talk about that when he gets home. My younger son's doing really good, and business is doing great. I mean, everything is really good. Money's not everything, but life is so much easier when you have it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I still don't have a full college savings saved up because I've only been able to save for a few years, but at least, getting there. And I just feel like I'm on the right track.
What do you think the lessons that came out of that, like to get here, what do you think was like the biggest? I know you said for business was just take the first step. Don't, focus on what the end goal is. What do you feel like in life in general is like here's the lesson, here's the message, and here's, I got to the other side, coming from some dark moments, some hard times. What's the lesson there?
Well, I really just believing in yourself and that you'll figure it out and can make it happen. And like focusing on the right things and doing the right thing. There's times that come up when maybe you could accomplish something but not in the right way, or always being honest and having integrity with everything that you do. It's like you can't really lose. You might not succeed at one thing or another, but it's like it just gets you on the right track. I don't really feel like I answered that right.
No, but I
think
think
you
that's
did.
good.
Yeah.
It's funny because I feel like conversation Cindy and I had last night, that has come up a lot recently in my life, and that's it. I love hearing that from you. It's like, do the right thing. It might not be the easiest thing. It might not be the thing that makes you the most money tomorrow. It might not be, the favorable thing, but if it's the right thing, then you're on the right path at least. And that,
and I want to be able to sleep at night and feel good about myself, that I did the best that I could do.
Yeah. I think I love that message. I think that that's such a great reminder to people of like, don't compromise yourself,
Yes.
you know?
I think that holds people back too. I mean, you could have a short-term success, but if you didn't do it the right way or you didn't treat someone right along the way, like that has to eat at people inside. And then
Right.
how can you?
It's not always the fastest reward, right? But in the long run, it's the bigger reward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you are inspiring. You are amazing. I appreciate you taking the
you.
time to share your story with us.
Me too.
I hope, and I know that it will resonate with others that, you know, we can get knocked down and lose it all and still rise above and do it the right way. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you
Thank
sharing
you.
that.
Thanks for having me and
Thanks
thinking
for
of
coming.
me.
Now you see what I was talking about.
Yep.
Now you understand.
I do. Until next time, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Cindy. Thanks for listening.